Ever sat through years of disrespect knowing your moment was coming? Have you considered other options? My husband's mom, Sandy, asked innocently. I stared across the dinner table at her, shocked at her audacity. She continued as if she didn't just say something completely outrageous. I mean, Liam's wife has connections she can hook you up with. Some marriages open doors, while others... Her voice trailed off as she shot me a pitying look. My jaw dropped. 7 years of insults from her. 7 years of smiling and trying to avoid any conflict to make my husband happy. My husband, Steven, sat next to me staring hard at his plate of mashed potatoes. I turned my gaze to him, pleading with my eyes for him to say something. Anything. Just defend me to his mother. But he said nothing as he grabbed his glass of water and took a gulp before setting it down. Then he glanced at his mother and nodded slightly. It was that slight nod that was the last straw. Sandy grinned widely and tapped her fork against her champagne glass. "We have an announcement to make," she said loudly, getting everyone's attention. "We're giving Liam and his wife Lisa $50,000 to buy their own house." I set my fork down with a clatter, jaw dropped in shock and despair. I couldn't believe this. Sandy glanced at Steven and me and said in an equally loud voice, "Maybe this will motivate you to finally get serious." Then she smirked, shooting me a look full of malice. I stared at her for a moment before standing calmly. I was tired of her treating me like trash for no reason. Everyone around the table fell silent and I felt all their eyes on me. I couldn't hold in the words anymore. "I actually made partner 3 days ago at Whitmore," I said quietly. Sandy looked confused. It was a small firm that hasn't yet made a name for itself, but obviously Steven's father had heard the name because he perked up. "Whitmore?" he repeated. "The Whitmore firm?" I smiled widely. "The very one," I said. Sandy recovered quickly and smirked at me, a look I was beginning to hate. She turned to Lisa. "Medicine is better than law," she said with a small smile. "Lisa was a successful surgeon." Sandy shot me a look. "But very nice for you, dear," she continued. Her voice was starting to annoy me. My hands balled into fists, and I hid them under the table. Steven was staring at me with wide eyes, a look on his face I've never seen before. He looked angry. Not just angry, but absolutely pissed. I looked around the table. No one was happy for me. I waited 3 days to tell Steven the good news, but he wasn't looking at me with delight. Instead, he looked like he just swallowed a lemon. How many more times was I going to have to sit around this table with this family and try to prove myself over and over again? I had nothing to prove to them. I tossed my napkin on the table and stood. I was done. "Thanks for dinner," I said coldly. "The roast was great." Then I stormed out of the house. My hands were shaking by the time I got to my car parked against the curb in front of the house. It took 2 tries to get my keys out of my pocket and unlock the car. Steven caught up with me and slammed a hand against the car door before I could climb inside. His hand caught the door with enough force to snap it out of my hand, nearly catching my fingers in the door. I jumped away, startled, and stared at my husband in shock. At that moment, I didn't recognize him, and it scared me. "How could you do that to me?" he hissed. "You embarrassed me in front of my family. Do you have any idea what you've done?" I glared at him as my anger rose hot and swift. "What I've done?" I repeated. Then I laughed, even though there was nothing funny about the situation. The sound was hollow and cold. "You just sat there and let your mother say all those things to me," I snapped. "For 7 years, you let her talk down to me, never once standing up for me. You've let your family walk all over me. I'm done." Steven stared at me, face red with anger. "Come back into the house and apologize to my parents right now," he ordered in a tone of voice that honestly scared me. I stared at him for a moment, then shook my head slowly. "I'm leaving," I said coldly. "You can have your mommy and daddy give you a ride home and hope that I'm still there by the time you get there." I yanked the car door open, dislodging his hand. "What is that supposed to mean?" he demanded. I got into the car and put the key in the ignition. "It means I'm done," I said flatly. "I'm filing for divorce. I deserve someone better." Then I slammed the car door shut and drove away before he could protest. I left him standing on the sidewalk with a look of shock on his face.